Button. Again. Nothing. Bruchim Aboyim, everyone. first of all, today's the yard of my uncle Yosef Yitzchak ben Kinus Hatorah. Is that what you say? You say my father's name. So, questions to the Nishmasai, learning is the Nishmasai. Last year Kinus Hatorah were by Zoom. For some reason, by Zoom, everyone no one's ready to speak up. Only by the Kinus Hatorah, there's normally people chaverim, there's people, people going in. For some reason, it was always very quiet by Zoom. So hopefully this time we'll have everyone can join in. We have questions just at the end of every speech. We can all. So the first thing is the person with Bar Malchus. So have a sicha there every week. There's for the sichas project. Learn every week. There's sichas and chelik zayin now they're going through. And so this week we'll start off with normally the shares tonight. On Monday and Wednesday there's normally a shares. So Yitzchak has agreed to give an overview of the sicha. Although it's not like learning with him, but.
I have the easy part. I don't need to say anything original or pretend to say anything original. Just a Rebbe Sicha. As Moshe pointed out, this is where it's a chelik. The Sicha Hashgacha Pratis, the first Sicha in Parsha Shmini in chelik Yud Zayin. So I'm trying to chazer over the Nekudas. The Rebbe brings the starts the Sicha. The Rebbe's mentioned many times that a Sedra has many components, many inyonim, many parishes, but the fact they're all part of the same Sedra means there's something which connects all the parishes, all the details in that, have a common link in that particular Sedra. Even though there may be parts of the Sedra which are more shaykhet to the previous Sedra, the beginning of the Sedra more shaykh to the previous Sedra, or the end of a Sedra may have some more shaykh to the following Sedra. Dosh and Smuchim. One of the ways of limud, one of the derech limud is when two things are put together, mizav shayches. And Peter Shemikah Rashi also often brings down lom nismach parsuzu, even when it's two different Sedras. The fact that two separate Sedras apart doesn't mean that there's no shaychs with them. There's a smichs. The knavein of Smuchim, even though there are different Sedras, but nevertheless, there's the fact that those parsha in one Sedra have a particular shaykh, there's something, a common link amongst them, which is exclusive to them, and is not, and only includes them, and excludes any other issues in previous or following Sedras. Ubinyonenu, Parsha Shmini. The name Bechla which a Sedra has is B'diur. The name of everything B'lashon Kodesh is its chayes. A prat in Torah. The names of the Sedra is the Dig B'Torah. The name Shmini contains in it it has a reference, a relevance to a component, one element which is shaykh to all the Parsha and Parsha Shmini. Even the beginning of Parsha Shmini, L'chura, implies it's a hemsh of the previous Sedra. Shmini means the eighth. And eighth automatically is the eighth of what? From what? You have to look at the previous Sedra, that's the Shiva Shmini Amiluim. And today, on the first parsha of Parsha Shmini, is the Ibn Shmini, eighth day of Miluim. So see, automatically there's a kesh between Shmini and Tzav. But nevertheless, the fact that goof, the name of the Sedra attack is Shmini, not Shmini Amiluim, brings out the point that the Nekuda of the Sedra is Shmini. And there's more of a kesh in one element between that idea of Shmini, which is the beginning of the Sedra, and the last part of the Sedra, which talks about Barichas, about Macholos Asuris, Macholos Tmeis, what's Matami, what's Toy, and what's also, what's Mutam, the Inyani Benetum, Dvoy Masurim, Dvoy Tmeim, that has a more of a Shaykhis within Shmini, with even the 7 days of Miluim, which preceded Shmini. What is talked of the Inyan of Shmini? What's the take of the Inyan of Shmini? So this is a famous Likli Yaka, and the Chassidus brought down in many places. And there's a Rashba also has the same, expressed a similar idea. The idea of Shmini is the Ma'ami HaHekif. That shows me a Hekif, 7 days of Hekif, 7 days of Bria, 7 days of Shtalshalis, 7 days of Shtalshalis, and number 8 is the Ma'ami Shtalshalis. Not just being again the worlds themselves, but actually the highest in the world is Nichel in Shvi, in 7. Ma'ashenkin Shmini is a Madrega higher than Seder Shtalshalis. The Loshen Al-Kiyakar is Mispozeh Miyuchot Eidov Ispor. This number of 8 is Shachs Eibishter. It's Kiyakar higher than the world, higher than Seder Shtalshalis. A Madrega was beyond Seder Shtalshalis. 7 is Seder Shtalshalis, 8 is the Ma'am Seder Shtalshalis. This is also understood, or a dogma to this, that we find when the Kinus Hatorah would have Meinimin as opposed to the am I doing anything wrong? The Prince of the Kinus Hatorah, which the king played to kind of a cult of honors, the Shir, the Zimra, the Levim, the Anna, and the King. They used art, of course, which they used at 7 things. One of them is not 8. What's the idea of 8? What's the idea? Same book. The idea of the 8 things, the nation is going to be higher above the state of the normal way of the world. But why do you how this concept of 8 as opposed to the killer of Beis Hamikdash, which is part of the world, Enochanan seems the world, 11-day part of the world. Shaky Mason Mashiach is a whole new gathering time. This is the gathering Mason Mashiach. And that will be time for number 8. You know? When Mashiach comes, Loshid Roth of Osiyach, Keshem Tiber, and boss in the boss Hagashmi, be able to see on the court. And Loshid is there, Peter. Of course, if you see something which is obvious, normal, the day-to-day natural way of seeing things, that's what will, of course, be seen in a regular, normal way once Mashiach comes. Meaning, that it's not the fact that when Mashiach comes, there'll be a new revelation. A new revelation which will be higher than the world. And the world will see something, will be shocked. The world? No, it's actually going to become part of it. It's going to be something which the world will see and see something which is going to will be able to relate to direct, not something beyond the world relate. And the idea of cheaters, the Rebbe elaborates, explains, his idea is not the war either, that the pshat is there'll be such a high revelation that the world will be affected in a pneumistic way, the world will be able to receive it, accept it, mitzad the hamshachom b'lamayim, mitzad this tremendous revelation of the course. It will sort of break through the barriers of the world. The world now will be able to see higher things. The world itself will be able to see higher things. Mitzad the Yulish to the Maila. No. The Pshat there is the world itself. The boss Hagash itself, Mitzad Chul, Mitzad the characteristics, Mitzad the Maila, the boss itself. It will be able to see, of course. It will be something that the revelation is such. The world itself, Mitzad in Yonehu, as the world as a world, be able to see other things. And that's the idea of 8. The idea of Yemei Mashiach is a madreg, the code Hashem, which will move in a Bria. The Bria is 7. That's the madreg of Saksei Yishtal. It's not the Pshat, and higher madreg will come, which will negate and blow away, smash the world as it was, and the new reality, which will be the Gil of Mashiach. No, it's number 8 over 7. It's going to be a hisofer, a new element in the 7 of the world. In other words, it's going to be a situation where you can have the world, and the world with its fullness, with its natural instincts, with natural boss of Hagash, now the boss of physical eyes see, or of physical, not physical eyes, but physical physicality will be able to see, be able to be aware, be appreciate
Inside itself, it says, oh Madriga, the maps of the world will change, but the world itself, inside Yoni who will be able to see the course, will be able to feel the course, to appreciate the course. So it's going to be number 8 over the 8 above the 7, not a new number, a new one. 7 is blown away, and a new start, a new world, a new world. No, the newness of the world will be the Kiddush in the sense the world itself, it's an absolute, will be elevated instead of Yoni who was serving himself in number. That's the Kiddush of Yemei Mashiach, that they will have the Kiddush of 8 in addition to the 7, and this is the Kinus Hatorah Mashiach, and that's the Inyo Yemei. However, the Chud is not understood. The world has its Gedol. The world was created in a fixed way. The world was created in a way we must clearly define how the world's meant to be. Hashem, they should create the world. So how is it possible to understand the world inside in Yonu? Who will be able to deal with it? Will be able to be in a situation now where it's able to be so transformed and so elevated now that it's able to see, we feel, appreciate godliness as a world. If you tell me that there's going to be a gift going to blow away Teva, blow away the Mitzvahs, like the smashes Teva, the water meant to flow. No, not anymore. Water's coming still. You change the map. It's not water, it's blood, it's water. Hashem does what he wants, and who cares what you are, Teva. You're irrelevant. I can stand that. You battle about the world's a bottle of course. But you tell me the world as a only who? In its own Gedorim as a Nivra as part of Sheva, number 7. The 7 dargahs of the Brias of the Elam. They are going to remain intact. Alamayas are now going to be able to see something beyond them. How is that possible? Because it's a steam and they obey. If you can say it's going to retain the natural capacity of capabilities, how is that going to possibly be able to receive the guilt? The Gila Kushmaim said so. To understand this, we have a preface of what it says in Tanya. That the Giluim of the Eirin Stov, the Yemei Mashiach, is told Maaseh Rosin called Man Mesh Agov. This idea that the relationship will be a revelation, of course, is dependent on our Aveda during the time of God. Ask the Rebbe. Right. We work on the world, we teach our mitzvahs, and through that we're able to to the Mashiach. Why that thing he may go? What about the mitzvah did his man? They were certainly no inferior to the mitzvah we do. Other rabbis, from Al's Nef Mitzvah Nachon, was then in Takish Transmice was Mitzvah. Now it's not. So now the Gilul of Yemei on our very depth we may have goals. What's the deal? Man Meshach. So the Rebbe's language, the Derech Esher, the Rebbe says stop. How the whole of Yemei Mashiach is amazing is, as we mentioned earlier, in the world itself should be felt that and of course is not a Tzugi Gevnazach, not to be soft on the world, but of course permeates the world. The world is studying Yonihu as a world is able to receive it, because that is actually the world's capable now. It's something within the world itself. That is the covenant. Through the Aveda of mitzvahs, will Magala how the world itself is capable. Mach Iber Gashmus Tevenah. That's why it's called Mahamesh Goals. Because changing the world is big as Managol. What's Hasbori? Hasbori is since Bachla. The Tachzak of one, the Beer Savior is special B'Shofet. In the world, the whole purpose of the Gashmi is to come into the world is it should be ultimate the benefit of giving benefit. That's what the world is made for. So even though the world, the cloud, the moment is the hell, is minor, of course. But since ultimately the kavana of the world is return mitzvahs, you still keep mitzvahs, and therefore in the world itself, the world watching month, the world the world demands its kavanah should be fulfilled. So within the world, since the world is aware of what it's here for, so the automatic the world itself then is demanding. So that's kind of why the Torah the world is a clear term. Says there, that's not clear enough. Granted, the world may be aware there's a high kavanah, but then the world has to go on. The world's a chum, the world's a gashmi, it's created by the Eibush and it's in a particular seal, big hagbola. The father's a higher kavanah, so he perhaps go along with that kavanah. But the same is that in Yonu, who in the world itself this can be felt, the Belgian has a door, a get of wood, a go of hair, and that is the Mitzvah Island. How is it possible to how is it possible to say that the world beside in Yonu, who can be a key, or can be a mitzvah through which, of course, miskal attacks the guild. Local boss. When fundamentally the world is a world of gashmi was mindful. So we're very much still with the issue. Why is man our goals? The very man our goals. The very man our goal is able to achieve this in of after the pira elam this regular to give for good customers. And why? How can the world be how this within it? So the cloud you do is put on chassidus. Complicated. That in the Zman of Alomas Vestein, Zman of Gold, then is the Aveda of Erch Messias Nefesh. More than is Zman of Gold. Because the Helen of the Hest of Gold draws out, brings out in the Messias Nefesh. The question is, why? Why should Helen Vahest of God bring up Messias Nefesh? You can say, because despite the Helen Vahest of God, you still keep telling me, but say the Helen Hest brings out the inner of Messias Nefesh. The Messias Nefesh is the course. Helen Hest is Kipshute. Helen gives are two opposites. How can it be that the Helen Hest in itself should bring out the Kirch and the Messias Nefesh? The Davka in the Zman of Golos, the worst time, that's when you have the Messias Nefesh. That's the famous, because other Sikhs, the Meish Honor, the names of Meish Honor, so the Messias Nefesh is Man of God. That was Man of God brings out the Messias Nefesh. Why should that be? You can say that Yidden are so strong that Ketleibisha, and despite God, despite the system, they're still prepared to do some Yiddishkeit. That's a big achievement. But to say it brings up Messias Nefesh, why should God bring some Messias Nefesh? Why should it be when the going gets tough, the talk gets going? Why should that be? Why should that from Messias Nefesh? That should bring. Why should God bring Messias Nefesh? This isn't the word of the Sikh, that is the word, I think. There's a follow. The kavanah of the bria in Isaiah Kodesh Baruch Hu that was a kavanah. The kavanah was that the world, a tachten, should be dilak legs. In order that this should be a deal for Hashem, tzad teva elam, that's tachten. The Eibishter created the world with such a name, and in it there's a Hauptspiegeln in kavanah. And the world itself should express, should reflect the tachlis which is great. And without the kavanah, the world is created such a way that we used to it should be cheshach, and the used to So because of that, that was a kavanah of the bria. That is taka why after the cheshach itself, roof the race was just now. Since the kavanah of the cheshach is to bring air, all kavanah of the cheshach is that cheshach itself should be transformed to air. That's what the kavanah did with Tachtonim. So the world was created in such a way that inherent in the world, in the Helen, is felt the priest like the Kachas Hakavono Yishna. So when it's the doubt when the Cheshach Hagolus had the Chal Messias Nefesh, the Yishna, the Messias Nefesh, the High Mamara, the Breakers of Torah to Mitzvah, be down for that. Doubt in the Helen of the Olam, that is what causes Messias Nefesh. Because in the Olam is implanted this Koyach that the Yid has the ability to be transformed to bring the grass and bring skill. In other words, in Zman HaGolus, the Avodah of Messias Nefesh is not despite the Golus, it's because of the Golus. Before the Pshat was, even though it was Golus, the Yid preached the Kavanah, so he still sticks to the part of what the Kavanah was. Kavanah was, there should be a Hashem, so he still realizes that's the Kavanah, and he's prepared to follow that. No, it's not the Pshat despite the Golus, the Yid has Messias Nefesh. The Golus itself brings out Messias Nefesh, because Golus is Cheshach, and Yisrael Mitecha Cheshach is a Yisrael Mitecha Cheshach, Yisrael Messias Nefesh. Messias Nefesh as a result of Golus, not despite it. That's able to put in the world. That was invested in the world. The tchunas of the world itself is such that its whole Indian is to ultimately be the Yisrael Mitecha Cheshach. It's more than explain all the place idea. We talk about the Nissim, the Areni Flores. We talk about the Nissim, the Nissim of Tavern, the Mania Tavern, there's the Nahiza Coach Bob Mike Sabracious, Coach Bob, the Oshon Nesone, there was the Kriyas Yamsel was additional, a condition. Hashem made with the Kriyas Yamsel is prepared to split when the Abel wanted. It's more than a Tanakh. It's the whole union of the whole tachlis, whole purpose, whole metzias of the cheshach is for Yisrael. That's what the cheshach is for. Whole Goddess is for that to bring up the That's important in the Bible.
Can you say before that the discount originally said maybe you could say that it was Dirk. Yeah, and then you said no, because the world is going to gather, has a gather.
So it's made the gather of the Elam is such. It's called gather of Elam as you feel it. The gather of the Elam itself is created because Mishnah. The Havim in the first in the world that with despite Golos, Yid hears a kavanah here. That was the point. Hasn't come on. He says, by God, he appreciates that's what he wants to do. So he compared to push himself, despite God. This is what the Rebbe says. There's not deep, there's not despite God. We have to make it clear. It's not despite God. The whole ged of cheshach of Halem is Shul HaGilul. The Yisrael Mitecha Cheshach, Tir B'Taktein, the Pshat, should be Taktein, and that should be delayed for. So the whole ged of the Achton should be shared to the Elyon. That's the gag. That's what Cheshach is. Cheshach is Shulay, not in itself, not independent material. The whole purpose of the Teresh L'Mayim. That's the couple. So that is taka why we say Yemeis HaMashiach depend through the Aveda, not Teresh L'Mayim, but that's Mashkalah. But since Golus is a true Helem, cause one basically Shayakayon. As we say, Attacker did a lot of good things. Attacker made it burning substance, and they kept doing mixers, and they did buried it. So this gluing, right? But the Gil of Mashiach, the Gil of a cloud of Erin Sof, Roko Bosiaku, Fade Avaya, this is the Madeg of Shemena, the Madeg Lamani station of the Gabri, with no get them. That is from that Tiba Taktain, that is to the Yisrael Metech Cheshach. And that Metech Cheshach is gone. That one is Golus and Helen Hess when the things are looking bad, things looking dark, things goes Helen. Oh, that is the Kalbon to find Yishmael. That's the Kalbon, the purpose of that bring out the Sisna. Why? Because that's the Geish, the Chesh itself. He feels, appreciates that this is the Kalbon. The Kalbon is Mr. Snef. That's why naturally, Yidden have Mr. Snef and Shmar Golus. more than this man of life. Also, it's better if it looks at ours as but because sales mind for the course. Therefore, you don't have to receive snappage because the sale gets in the way. But then says there's no tifa. This is honorable. Therefore, the actual yishin of cheshech itself is not cleaned up there. So now, we can understand 7 and 8. Now we stand in the Sedra and the Tav. Talk about the Vedas on Miluim, Shiz Memluim, the Veda, the mitzvahs, and the face, and the Mishkan. There was Achon. There's only Achon. It was a start of the process, but it wasn't the process itself. It was a preparation process. This is the Madrega of Bria, of Seder Shaul. Shmini is different word. Shmini is a Madrega in Gans, no, total beyond. Above, but beyond. Above, based after what happened at Hagdom of Pash South. But now we move here, my Shmini, the Madrega of Shmini, with the Pioka said, the Rashbach said. The Mayim Yehekov, the Mayim, that's similar course, the Dibba Taktoin, the Gilo course, which might Roko boss this in the 8th Madrega. This is this week's part. This is after Tzav, after the Jewish name. Yom Hashmini, this is the highest Madrega as the Theophany describes. Which is relevant to Gilo Mashiach. Then you have Pasha Shmini. What's the end of Pasha Shmini? Dinim of treif animals, tumor, are, or sasuras, or snails. What's that got to do with Yom Hashmini? It's Agarama. That is where you see the kayach of Shmini. The kayach, which goes the helm itself is a klifa earth. So the idea is that when the Madrega of Shmini, which is going to say the Shal, there is felt the tak of the kavon al yin is the dibba taktenim. In the tacht and the aliyah tacht, the tacht itself has this kaya to be able in this hour to be scaled course, and therefore it's able to be raw kobosi after. That is down by machos asu. When the tacht in front of there's a bureau, you have there's a chesed, there's a chesed, the strafe and kosher, there's tum and there's tara. When a person in a situation where he has to choose between it. And Adarab, the derech harot, most people upon him is a derech, a person say, Yafshi al Adarab, he wants to, if a person is that has a shaykhs in Yonim Tumatar, Yonim Hepachatar, and Yonim for a Hepachamuta. And a person is shaykh these Madrid. And there, held the Chon Yom Hashmini. The idea Shmini is the biru on the aliyah of the tachtim, that in the tacht, in the helem itself, there you see with the kawan, the biru tachtim. This is not what should, this is what should be. That biru in the Leos Madregas, that is the care of the Hashmini. And there, the Rotz Ash Hashem is dealt with Miskal. And that's the conclusion of the Sedra is, as is medrash to all the different macholas asuras, chayas treifas, and tumah allude to different days of golus, and the beer from them leads to gula. Talks about the chazir. Why is it called the chazir? Stelter sticks up, it prompted. I said, look, I've got it has who's one of Emma's it's treif animal. Mice, Shahaya, Sultan Echad, who have put to death anybody who stole, anybody who is adultery, anybody with Kishu, has them all murdered. Then he confided in his close advisor. I did all three last night. That is the chazal. The chazal b'chal on one hand, this is miramis to all the goyim and the golos. When the biru and the rejection of the goyim, rejection of the golos, this is taka the biru, and the final biru is taka chazil lost top the fire. That's all of Mishiva Atzirish with Ha'esa was Hashem Melucha. Never concludes. everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone pointed out that by Kinus Hatorah, that in the last few years, Nathan Manson, the Rebbe would always say something, put in the Kinus Hatorah, and then the Rebbe kept on saying something about looking to what the world is going to look like when the Mashiach is going to come. So pulling about that because that's what we have to, that's what we should be living with. And so the Sikha was all supposed to thank the Mashiach, and then he chooses the topic. This time, I'll do with us a speak about a certain topic. So when you agree to speak about what's our chance of bringing the Karam Pesach Sheni this year, as the Mashiach is going to come, the next thing is going to be built, and are we going to bring a Pesach Sheni? Well, we're going to figure this out quickly because I don't know what to do. So the Rebbe is going to sort out.
There are some words in the Gemara in Mishnah that they look one thing, and then when you learn, you find out it's a totally different thing. One thing I remember when being a child, one of the famous Mishnayos that we all knew as children, Hagenas min Haganas Potter. So any child who gathers from someone else, you're allowed to gather from him and your Potter, you absolve from all Averas, like from the Gimel Averas, Hamulas, everything. Hagenas Haganas Potter. And then we learn the Mishnah that he's spotted from Kefil. He's either alive, but he's spotted from Kefil or something like that, right? So the reason in Gemara it says, Yochid Nitka LePesach Sheni, the Ein Sibol Nitka LePesach Sheni. So the simple understanding of this Gemara is that Pesach Sheni is made for a Yochid. For a Yochid, some single people, a few people, Yochid means a meal. Then for them it's Pesach Sheni. But there is no situation, there's no case that a tzibur, which is the majority of Eden, will do Pesach Sheni. That's a simple understanding of the Gemara. Now, when you look in the Paskim, in the Mefarshim, wherever, then you'll see that it's a different picture. In the Sikha of Pasha Emer, Tafshilam Test was not Shabbos. And the Rebbe mentioned that the majority of Paskim hold that if Mashiach comes between Pesach Sheni, Rishon and Pesach Sheni, then all the Eden will be marked with Pesach Sheni. So I looked around and I found the Minchas Chinuch. The Minchas Chinuch, he learns it's the Mitzvah Shin Pei, by the Din of Pesach Sheni. So he brings this halacha that the people do not do a Pesach Sheni, only a minority, only a meal do a Pesach Sheni. It comes out that what happened if there was a meal that was mixed to the Pesach Sheni, and then exactly between Pesach, Rishon, and Pesach Sheni, a lot of gaving on this guy. So then there became, by Pesach Sheni, there became people who didn't do Pesach Rishon, became a majority of the Eden in a control. So they shouldn't do a Pesach Sheni. Again, a Yochid, in this guy, when Pesach Rishon and Pesach Sheni, he does Pesach Sheni. But what will happen if there was 100 Eden who did Pesach Rishon and 50 Eden who did not do Pesach Rishon? But between Pesach Rishon and Pesach Sheni, there were 80 people who were misguided, 80 Gerim. They went on a course of 5 years, they pushed them up, but suddenly all 80 together, they were misguided on the Shtei Shkia or something like that. So the pastors, if the people do not do Pesach Sheni, so they shouldn't do it, because now they're a majority of Eden, so they shouldn't do a Pesach Sheni. There's a bit of no. But it could be the case the other way around. It could be that on Pesach Rishon, there was a majority who did not do Pesach Rishon. Only a minority did Pesach Rishon. And then, for some situations, some people died, some things happened, and then they became a minority on Pesach Sheni. So they should do the Pesach Sheni. The Midrash says no. He says the Iker is totally on the tzibur that was on Pesach Rishon. Whatever happened on Pesach Rishon, if the majority did the Pesach Rishon, then all the other Yidden, even the Geirim, when everyone would come afterwards, they could do the Pesach Sheni because they all considered part of the meal. Because in the B'Shas Pesach Rishon, the majority, the Rov of Yidden at that time did the Pesach Rishon, then everyone else who didn't do the Pesach Rishon, they considered a meal and they could do the Pesach Sheni and not consider the tzibur who does the Pesach Sheni. Because the tzibur was not pushed up to Pesach Sheni. And the other way around also, if the majority of people didn't do the Pesach Rishon, even if later they become a meal, but because the Halach of the Yidden who didn't do the Pesach Rishon were a tzibur in the time of Pesach Rishon, then there is no Pesach Sheni for any of that. The Minchas Chinuch adds on also that it's not only totally in the Zman of Pesach Rishon, you only count the Yidden, it's totally on the Yidden who were standing by the Azorah, outside the Azorah. That's Lashon of the Rambam. They're standing outside the Azorah, and they didn't go in to do the Tewatameh, or they didn't go in to do the Pesach Rishon. So you have to be the people who were there in the time of Pesach Rishon. So you count the people of the Yochid, the majority of the meal, and you only count those people that were actually standing there outside the Azorah. So it doesn't matter how many even were there. According to that, the Minchas Chinuch says, the Minchas Chinuch learns the mitzvah. He learns the glory of the mitzvah, who does Pesach Rishon, when you do Pesach Sheni, when you do not do Pesach Sheni. And then by the end, he says, according to this figures that he made, that he brings from the Lashon Rambam, based on Lashon Rambam. So he says, when the Beis Hamikdash was nibna, since there was no Rov, there was no majority, there was no tzibur standing by the Beis Hamikdash. There was no Beis Hamikdash. There were no tzibur standing on Pesach Rishon by the Beis Hamikdash, by the Azorah, that didn't do the Pesach Rishon. So therefore, it's not considered tzibur mitzvah or Pesach Sheni. So it could be a whole cloud so to do Pesach Sheni, and they're not considered the tzibur because they weren't the tzibur standing by the Azorah in the time of Pesach Rishon. By the time of Pesach Rishon, there was no matzah of a tzibur that didn't do Pesach Rishon because it didn't exist. The Hamikdash didn't exist. And the Minchas Chinuch concludes the La'alocha, and he says that he's actually writing this mitzvah, and he was standing between Pesach Rishon and Pesach Sheni, and he is davening that the Sheikh will come in the Hamikdash, and everyone will do the Pesach. So that means the Chinuch that he says that the tzibur and Yochid depends on the time of Pesach. It's man in the Zman of Pesach, and it depends on the mocking on the people who are standing outside the Azorah. So even the time of Pesach, there was no situation of Beis Hamikdash. There was no one standing outside the Azorah, so there is no people that is pushed up to Pesach Sheni, and everyone could be makri the Pesach Sheni who must be at home. That's the Minchas Chinuch. Then there is a Shas Tshuvas Yosef Amos, that's one of the scholars of the Kiddush. So he brings a tshuva of his son-in-law. His son-in-law was called Avraham Pardu. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I don't call it Pardu. The Avraham Pardu, that was his son-in-law, is written a tshuva about this question. If we makri Pesach Sheni, Mashiach comes in. And he has a whole list of shaylos. One list of shaylos is if there is a Mikdash standing there. Mashiach comes and that's first child. If Mashiach comes and Beis Hamikdash is built between Pesach Rishon and Pesach Sheni. Second question is if Mashiach came before Pesach Rishon and Beis Hamikdash is standing. Then there is Pesach Hameisim between Pesach Rishon and Pesach Sheni. So all the people who get up in Pesach Hameisim Mashiach Pesach Sheni. That's two of the questions. He has another. I didn't count them. He has a whole list of questions like this. But I will just bring what he says about this one question about being in Beis Hamikdash. So he says also that will be makri. But he gives another reason. He gives another reason. And to understand the other, I'll say the other reason, then I'll explain a bit. Not more specific. He says that this din that ain't tzibur nitchol lebeis sheni is only if the tzibur had a too much mess. If the reason that the tzibur would not do Pesach Rishon and we pushed off to Pesach Sheni is because they were coming too much mess, that's the din, ain't tzibur nitchol lebeis sheni. We don't push them off Pesach Sheni. They are Nechuyev Yimakir on Pesach Rishon. That's the chat in the Gemara. Any other reason that they couldn't do the Pesach Rishon, then they do Pesach Sheni. So the Nafkamina will be between the Minchas and there's a machlekes between the Minchas and Reb Avrom Padu, the son-in-law of the Chidah. If the majority of Yidden went Tamei, but not Tumas Mes, they were Tamei Tumas Zovi. So is the din that they can't do Pesach Rishon only Tumas Mes to do. So what happened with Tumas Zovim, another Tumas? And the Rav HaTzibur, the Tzibur, the Tamei Tumas Zovim, they do not do Pesach Rishon, and according to the Minchas Chinuch, they don't do Pesach Sheni either, because Ein Tzibur need for the Pesach Sheni. They were prevented from doing Pesach Rishon, they're not need for the Pesach Sheni. But the Avram Padu, the son-in-law of the Chidah, he says that since the reason they're prevented from doing Pesach Rishon is not because of Tumas Mes, then they will do the Tumas Zovim, is the Rav Tzibur Tumas Zovim, they will do Pesach Sheni. That's mamash machlekes in halacha, and it's probably you have to learn the Gemara in Psachim. I didn't do it. It's machlekes in this halacha. So according to the Avram Padu, so anything besides Tumas Mes is an anus that they didn't do Pesach Rishon, and if anything in the anus, they do Pesach Sheni, even a tree. So the Gemara says, ain't tzibur nitchol lebeis sheni is only by Tumas Mes that the Torah allows you to do Pesach Rishon, and he chose not to do the Tumas, so then you don't do Pesach Sheni. So the fact that the Avram Padu says the difference, if it's the anus, then you do Pesach Sheni. If it's not the anus, then you don't do Pesach Sheni. So Mashiach will come. Again, it is in his Gaia, and Mashiach will come. It is the anus we didn't do Pesach Rishon, and therefore we are allowed to do Pesach Sheni on the step of the Avram Padu. If we put the Seiches Chelek Yud Beis, page 219, then this Seicher was said in Top Test was the first year when that year became Yad Yisrael Takifa in the area of the Beis Hamikdash, and the Rebbe instructed Parashas, the Parashas still alive now, that they remember that on Erev Pesach they walked out of Yerushalayim, so it shouldn't be Mekuyah in the Mitzvah Saseh Hatorah and Pesach, and they used to wait outside a certain amount of miles, and then they used to walk back into Yerushalayim after it went past the Zman. So the Rebbe said the same should be by Pesach Sheni. There shouldn't be in Yerushalayim. So the din is Ein Tzibur nitchol lebeis sheni, and the whole Tzibur didn't do Pesach Rishon. So Ein Tzibur nitchol lebeis sheni. So the Rebbe says, so that's the Rebbe speaks about that only why they would be able to do Pesach Sheni, and the thing will be also about being with them. I think in Tafshel Lamed Hey, the Rebbe, there is an answer of the Rebbe, a letter of the Rebbe says that the Netzias changed, and Netzias on the ground changed, and it's not Yad Yisrael Pakifo, even though officially, whatever, but it's not Yad Yisrael Pakifo, and we can't be matched to the Kohen, so we don't have to go out to the So the Rebbe gives two explanations. One explanation, he says, it's not a din in Pesach Sheni, it's a din in Pesach Rishon. The din that ain't tzibur nitchol Pesach Sheni is that the Pesach Rishon does not push people into Pesach Sheni. So that's people that exist a Pesach Rishon. When exists a Pesach Rishon, then the Pesach Rishon has a din that he cannot push Yidden move even to do a problem Pesach Sheni. So they can't do a problem Pesach Sheni. But if Pesach Rishon didn't exist, then Pesach Rishon doesn't do it. Pesach Rishon doesn't do it. So therefore, it could be makri problem. It means Pesach Sheni has no problem to be makri. Pesach Sheni itself has no problem with people being makri problem Pesach or Pesach Sheni. The problem is that Pesach Rishon can't organize it, can't do it. As long as there is a Pesach Rishon, and Pesach Rishon can't do it. If Pesach Rishon didn't exist, this Amidosh wasn't here on Pesach Rishon, so it's not Pesach Rishon who does it. It's only Pesach Sheni here. Pesach Sheni is no problem to be made. That's one explanation. Now, from this explanation, if there is a tzibur in the time of Pesach Rishon, then it can't do Pesach Sheni. If there is no Pesach Rishon, then there is no tzibur in Pesach Rishon, which is similar to the Minchas Chinuch. The only difference is the Minchas Chinuch adds on the spending by the Azorah, and the Rebbe doesn't mention spending in the Azorah. The second explanation is that the Rebbe says, the second explanation, that in Tzibur Niftal the Pesach Sheni is when the Torah can't push even on the Pesach Sheni. Which means if the Torah said you can't do in Pesach Sheni, then he can't do in Pesach Sheni. But if it's not the Torah, if it's the fact, the Metzius, then he could do Pesach Sheni. So the Torah, the halacha, can't tell a Yid, don't do Pesach Rishon, do Pesach Sheni. But if it's not the halacha, if it's the Metzius, then you could do Pesach Sheni. So according to the Rebbe's second explanation, it's similar to the Bavron Padu, but it's different. The Nachminim will be Tumas Zobi. If they tzibur is coming, not coming in the flesh, in this thing, the Rebbe holds like that Tumas Zobi don't do Pesach Sheni. Don't do Pesach Sheni. Because that, according to the Rebbe's second explanation, because that would be a thing that the Torah prevented even from doing Pesach Sheni. When the Torah prevented the Eden from doing Pesach Rishon, then you don't do Pesach Sheni. Doesn't matter too much mess, too much zovi, as long as the Torah prevents. But if it's an anus, not because of the Torah, not a lot of the Torah, it's a mistake. There was no Beis Hamikdash. So if there was no Beis Hamikdash, then you can do Pesach Sheni. That's the view of the according to I brought it as an anecdote, not as part of the thing. If you want to see the discussion between the Rebbe and Zevi, or Zevi, the whole there are actually at least posting who say that if it's an English reveal, then we don't do Pesach Sheni. I didn't find them. I was looking for those who say you were doing Pesach Sheni, not for those who say they not do Pesach Sheni. One of them is Charles Judas, Eichel Yitzchak, that's Rav Herzog. Rav Herzog, he has a shuvah about it, and he discusses that there was in Tveria, there was a minhag. And so you had their own minhag that on Pesach Sheni you do fast. Everyone doesn't like Weimar, but they had a minhag on Pesach Sheni you can do a fast. So he's discussing it. So he suggests that maybe the minhag is because if Mashiach comes, because the English is still within Pesach Rishon, Pesach Sheni, will bring it on Pesach, and then it will be a Yom. Then what the Maskani says that the Pesach Sheni that we don't say Tachnun, that we celebrate, is not because people will come, it's because what it used to be. And in this is like in Tzitkas Caleb Planet Gimel, page 60. The Rebbe says about Pesach Sheni, why do we celebrate Pesach Sheni now? Only even celebrating Pesach Sheni. In times of Hamikdash, there was some people who did Pesach. So the Rebbe finds an answer. So the Rebbe say maybe because maybe it's Hamikdash will reveal, and we will mark it Pesach Sheni. So the Rebbe says no, we celebrate what happened before, not celebrate. But the Maskone in Harav Herzog is one of the meals, the meals that say that we won't be matched the code. Other things related to it, there is a Klichender. A Klichender, he says, why is the minhag to eat matzahs on the day of Pesach Sheni? If there is a korban of Pesach Sheni, then you check the korban by day, and you eat it by night. Matzah Pesach Sheni, Leil as well, and then you eat the Pesach in the night. So the minhag should be that night. So why is the minhag to eat by day? So he takes the cheapest that we eat by day. And why shouldn't we eat by night? That should be the time. So he answers to have them another question. There is an Easter of Pesach. So if people even take on Pesach as a minhag thing, then it should be a Pesach. So there is an Easter of Pesach. So the answer is that a mitzvah is a mitzvah that one is not mechuyev. If it's this manner, then even without kavanah it becomes a mitzvah. If it's a mitzvah shalei this manner, only with a kavanah it becomes a mitzvah. Only it's based on a korban. On kavanah, if you mark a korban shalei this manner and you have a kavanah of the same Pesach commercial, then it becomes a korban Pesach. But if you mark a korban on Pesach without a kavanah, it automatically becomes a korban Pesach or whatever korban of this time. Therefore, the minhag is to eat without by day, which is not the correct time, because we are afraid that it will become a mitzvah. So like this manner, even without kavanah, later as well become a mitzvah. And if it will become a mitzvah, then it's a mitzvah about Pesach, mitzvah about Pesach. So we think about it. This is Pesach. Yeah. But since when Mashiach comes, it will be Zmanei that even though we didn't do Pesach Rishon, but if Mashiach would come today, it will be Zmanei, then it's even now it's a kind of Zmanei. So it might be a mitzvah. So this is all based that all the Eden will do Pesach Sheni, and then it becomes Zmanei. That was the message. Minhag Chabad is just in Minhag Chabad. In one place it says that the minhag is to eat by day. In another place it says the minhag is to eat by night. And which is not quoted. I think the Rebbe said that some people eat by night and by day. Mark me on both. There is a Meshech Chochmah. The Meshech Chochmah is Mechadish Chiddush. Mechadish Chiddush that if the Hamikdash will be built and everyone will do Pesach Sheni, then we do 7 days Yom. Like a full Pesach. Yom HaRishon Mikvatev, Yom HaSheni Mikvatev. We'll do a regular Pesach, and we'll do 7 days Matzahs. That's if the Tzibur does a Pesach Sheni.
Pesach again.
Huh?
Pesach again.
The whole Pesach, because we didn't do the first one. And we did, but we didn't do really because there was no problem. What? I don't know. He didn't say that. Let's check again. But Pasha Timashma, the way he learns, he says like this. He's based. If you look in the Chumash, in Pasha Pinchas and Pasha Emer, it says Achelish Hashvi. I'll start the Hashvi to go back. Achelish Hashvi, Bechad Achelish. Then there's the Dino of Then it says, in the 10th day of Achelish Hashvi Hazeh. And then it comes to the first day of Sukkot. So although it's a continuation, it's a hamshach, he always repeats again Chedesh Hashvi. But when it comes to Chedesh Nisan, so it says V'yema Ba'asa, you mark to the Korban Pesach. And then the next pasuk, when he says V'yem Chamisha Asa, he doesn't say Chedesh Harishon Hazeh. He says Chedesh Hazeh. He doesn't say. He just says Chedesh Hazeh. And the to that, there is a Isum, there is a Yontif, and the Kabbalah of the Yontif, and then the Behemshech, there is the Mashvi, in that first passage, Shivas Yomim Matis Tefelu, and then the Behemshech, there's the Kabbalah, and then the Shlish Pesach. So he says, the Meshech Chochmah says that because he can't say Bachedesh Harish Mazeh, Because in a case that the people will be makriv Pesach Sheni, because there was an anus, it couldn't be makriv or Pesach Rishon, then you'll do 7 days Yom Tov, 7 days Pesach, 7 days Yisrael Achilus Man. And he says that is the source, Hispio Melech, he made when he refurbished the Beit HaMikdash, the Zohar and everything. So they couldn't, for some reason, they couldn't do Pesach Rishon. So he told everyone to do it. Said the Perish and Diva Yomi. They did 7 days in the Chedesh Hashem. In the Chedesh Hashem. So that is the source of Hispio Melech. And I forgot to tell you, there's actually this whole subject in the Machleik in Yerushalmi. If you bone HaMikdash, if you matter from based on that, the Perish Machleik in Yerushalmi. So the Meshach Chochmah says that the market of the Tana is Machleik in Yerushalmi and 3 of Medrash. There is a Machleik Tanoim. So the market of the Tana is based on Hispio. Hispio's market is from the first Limud that the Meshach Chochmah brings. One last thing, and when I saw the last thing that I'm going to say, so I suspect that a couple of years ago, some Kinus Hatorah said the whole thing, and I think I remember vaguely that he said, but I'm not sure. If I'm just repeating what he said, so people forgot in the meantime, so it's okay. There is a famous modern in a couple of stories, the first Belzer Rebbe, so someone traveled to him from a town. Someone traveled to him from a town. From Lvov. Someone traveled to the Belzer Rebbe for Pesach. So the Rav of Lvov then, the Sheilo Meshi, told him to ask the Belzer Rebbe a question. He says, Kinus Hatorah, and the pasuk Amatisum Reivim Yechluhu. So why Amatisum Reivim Yechluhu is a pasuk of Pesach Sheni. In Pesach Rishon doesn't say this word, it says different. So why do we say Kinus Hatorah and the pasuk of Pesach Sheni? So he went and asked the Belzer Rebbe. So the Belzer Rebbe told him, the Belzer Rebbe answered him that this is a bakosha. This is a bakosha. We say it this way because now with the blank market from Pesach, it's too late. It's back without. So without me, that we should be makri, that's kind of bakosha. We should do our maximum rate that we say Pesach Sheni will come. So he went back. When he went back home, and he said this answer to the Sheilo Meshi. So the Sheilo Meshi says the Gemara, Ein Tzibur Eisa Pesach Sheni. Ein Tzibur doesn't do a Pesach Sheni. So next time he went to the Belzer, and he asked him the question. So the Belzer says there is no Talmud, which is a machlekes. And the Paskin is one of the deities that we do Pesach Sheni. And this is what in lots of different places. The Rebbe in Haggadah asked, I checked in the Rebbe's Haggadah, the Rebbe asked the question, Max and Rebbe Yeshlu, the Rebbe brings a Gilset in a different Haggadah, brings a Gilset that does say the Pasuk Pesach Rishon, but then he writes in Maram Kinus to a couple of places. There is a Ramban on the Pasuk, and there's a couple of places that explain things, explain how why we should say it. I forgot to say when the Rebbe mentions the Rebbe explains why we could do Pesach Sheni. In the Gemara it says Ein Tzibur. So the Rebbe's medai that always in the Gemara it never says Ein Tzibur Eis in Pesach Sheni. The Rebbe's medai is different to be using from the fact it says Ein Tzibur Nit Kol Pesach Sheni. It never says Ein Tzibur Eis in Pesach Sheni. Almost never. In one place it does say it, in another the Rebbe explains why. But it says Sonitka means, like Rebbe explains, you are on Pesach Rishon, but the Torah to Pesach Sheni. So we should all do what the Mitzvah Kinus was doing between Pesach and Pesach Sheni. He was learning the halachah. He was writing Kiddushin, and he was while writing the Kiddushin, it was written in the Mitzvah Kinus that we all that we should have the Pesach Sheni in the Beit HaMikdash. I don't know if you're going to do the Meshach, don't tell the Balabas, but I can do the Meshach Chachma says that if the Meshach Chachma says that you have to do the whole thing again 7 days. I think then with the Shruya, it will be everything will be easier. Yeah. That
Yeah.
Thank you for closing the window.
We have with us a guest on the phone. He's concerned with the basis of mental control. As a Jewish studies in Yemen. And the girl on the right a lot of the articles and a lot of etc. We've got a handout as well. All the people joining via Zoom, we have to I don't know. Want to study by Walter?
To start with Moshe, it's a great privilege to be here. The answer is I haven't stepped foot in any other school since the beginning of COVID. But the answer is besides our part of Chabad, it goes all the way back to my days in Skirdas, to the Babak Day camp, and the Rebbe's secret. The Rebbe's, my family, the Oldfords, the Lewises, the Browns, they all know about. I consider myself a Chabad on my board. So, but at least during the 3 weeks, and at least during the Spirit Omer, I can't say that. So, the emphasis is that this Shiloh is not really an Egea to people who are active in the Chabad, and they daven away by now. They daven married in the couple Shabbos. They're makpid to wait to nap in the couple Shabbos. But in our shul, we have minyanim that on minyanim in the summer, certainly earlier, and the Shiloh often comes up when it comes to the Spirit Omer. When someone's already been the couple Shabbos, and we announce not davening that even though we're not counting Spirit Omer now, because it's still Fashkia, never mind that. But remember to count Omer in Muslim. I didn't count Friday's Omer. So what's the halacha? Do we say without it being the couple Shabbos, it's too late? So let's go back. The Tosfos brings a machlekes. Tosfos brings a machlekes pertaining as to whether what's the Indian? What's the Indian of this Indian of counting the Omer during the day? So this is the first topic. What happens when a person has forgotten to count the Omer at night? Hosak Bahag, the Baal HaLachos Gedolos is one of the main mitzvahs. Pastor Shesoifer Bayot. He counts the Omer during the day. It's mashma from the end of from the Mishnah at the end of the period. It's possible. The states of fierce Omer and the Gedaiten is, according to most of the poskim, is a mitzvah drabanan. It's a zeicha from the time when we had Ketira Omer. And without Ketira Omer, the mitzvah is after to do by night. But if you haven't cut the Omer at night, then you cut it by day. So too with fierce Omer, what's the bahag? If you didn't count the Omer at night, you count it with day. Abonila Rabbeinu Tam, but Tosfos then brings Rabbeinu Tam, the other fitter, who holds that no, that Kolalayla Koshelik Fierce Omer, the Kinum Dikon Yelayla, the Nivyoim, that the mitzvah is dafka by night. And if you missed it, you missed it. So the halacha is, not the Shulchan Aruch Takafastans, Takaf V'loi Birach, Kolalayla, if you forget and you didn't bench the whole night, Yisbo by Yom V'loi Broch, you should count the following day without the broch. In other words, we have this sophic, we have this machlekes that's brought down in Tosfos. Without this one sophic, and we know that the fakers to Rabbanon and sophic brachas the color. No, we don't count with the block. Of course, there are Kinus Hatorah and benching, which are deraisa, but this is a mitzvah Rabbanon. What does it mean for Laila? That means until Alois, Shofar, about 20 to 5. So you're up at 4:30 tonight and you realise that you didn't count Spirit Omer, you still count with the bracha. 5 o'clock, on a bracha. So what's the chance? So the Mishnah Berurah and the Sharatim. The Sharatim indicated for the notes at the bottom of the Mishnah Berurah on the top line. But the Mishnah Berurah, What's this idea of recounting without a bracha? The yesh lachas v'das haboiskin the inzman fear out of a life. Because v'choishes to the Rabbeinu Tam, the second shitter in Tosfos, that it's not the time to count. And without this a sophic, after bracha tekula, we don't say the bracha. Right? You've got a sophic as to whether I say for any profit or not. Sophic bracha, you don't repeat it. Sophic whether I benched or not. That's very right. So you've got to repeat it. It's a sophic of bracha. Mir mikam l'avah sefer b'chol halayla. The bracha v'lo have to deliver enough of the count. This is an amazing. It's a sophic. It's a sophic as to whether you're supposed to count, as to whether the mitzvah still applies by day or not. If not, it's a sophic, you don't count. But the next day, the next night, right, I counted, right, yesterday was day 8, so I counted day 8 by day, and tomorrow, tonight, I can still count over properly, the right day, with a bracha. How does that make sense? They explain to Chartian, these following the Trumas of Dashem, brought to the base Yosef, or Mishum haven't fake in the field. You've got two fakers going on. A sophic, on a sophic, spec faker. Okay, so when it comes to a spec faker, so then we do say a bracha. It's not just one sophic, it's two spakers. What are the two spakers? Number one is we have the machlokes as to whether it's a sophic, in other words, the machlokes as to whether the time for counting is by day as well, right? According to the Bahag, the time, the mitzvah of Kinus Hatorah would apply by day as well. And the second topic is because many of the poskim, how the poskim maskimin, many of the poskim are maskim. The ein hayomim akmin zeh, that the days are not ma'akid each other. That means every single day of the Omer, day 7, day 8, every single day of the Omer is the separate mitzvah. And if I miss the day, I still count. Of course, this comes in a very interesting side when it comes to someone who's Megaya in the middle of Omer, or someone who's Baruch in the middle of Omer. Right, so this is when the subject comes in. Again, we've got the topic. So we've got the power place to maskin and like that. Well, the Indians are the Indian Tanimas and regarding this, but according to these poskim, we don't need Tanimas, we don't need all 49 days. So you've got two spakers going on, and that's the reason why the following day, in other words, on day 6, when he forgot to count that in there, so you don't count during the day because you've got one topic. By the time it comes to day 7, day 8, then you've got a spec spaker. I counted by day. That's one topic. And we also might not need Tamimas because that's a separate machlokes. Maybe from Sadeshan, I can count every single day a separate Indian, a separate mitzvah, a separate bracha. Memela, we've got the spec fakers, got the Saracens, but we've got time that we continue counting. That's the smart. So, how's this like? So, Rav Moshe brings the count. We're going to skip down to the Ibn Moshe. Rav Moshe Feinstein. Oh, I said recently in school. I said the Elam thinks that the Lubavitcher Rebbe cared about, never to the Elam one. I said the Lubavitcher Rebbe cared about the Kinus Hatorah, Moshe Feinstein. You're all familiar with the famous shuvas of Rav Moshe thanking the Rebbe for his tefillin. The famous meister of Rav Moshe used to wear a Rabbeinu Tam tefillin when he was still in Luban in Poland. And when he came to America, he stopped. He had strong hypothesis as to exactly how tefillin should be written and how they should be arranged. So we think, Chabad and Chabad, reaching out to. I said, you don't realize how the Rebbe cared about every single human being, from the the Nishtei Villainzera to the Daily Haber, the Nishtei Haber. Because Moshe cares about everyone. With other Rachel Shachar Lishparm and two sources to the book. With other Rachel Shachar Lishparm earlier, Shabbos, regarding someone who forgot to count on Friday night, the Nis Karol of Mochar after Sittibul Shabbos and Beidia. He forgot to count on Friday and he remembered after he's already been the Shabbos. It's like the Shulchan Aruch is when he's saying this Moshe. Right? So, but also machlokes as to when exactly we do the Kabbalah Shabbos. Which takes us besides for the women who are doing the Kabbalah by lighting candles. But when we do Kabbalah Shabbos in the middle of davening, the summer machlokes is Is it by Mizmor? Is it by Mizmor David? Is it by Mizmor Shir? Is it really by Chavogi? Is it earlier in davening? But is Kabbalah Shabbos is Kabbalah Shabbos a sphere to, well, now it's Shabbos, so that's already the next day. So he brings a Taz, let's go back to the Taz. So the Taz asks the following question. Shayla, Kol Echad Leilahem Be'erev Shabbos Sheifa, Be'erev Rosh Hashanah Sheifa. Rosh Hashanah that year was Thursday, Friday. On Wednesday, the Kehillah had a shofar that already one shofar. Or Bo showed it in the Gosloy song. We're not going to say. And some thieves came along and they stole from the Kehillah and they stole the Kehillah's one precious shofar. I suppose it was a small village, it was only one shul, and there was only one shofar in the shul, and they stole the shofar. So what did the Kehillah do? The Sholcha called the Halacher, the Sholach Kohen. So they sent to the nearby Kehillah, to the nearby shtetl, to get another shofar, not davening, to bring another shofar. When Isaki was Shliach Machmasayas, the Shliach who went to get the shofar got delayed because of something. Maybe it was also to do with the knowledge, who knows. The Loiva I'd say the own base. By the time he came, Friday afternoon, that's when he already comes to the shofar. That means the whole Thursday and the whole Friday, the whole first day and second day of Hanukkah, this Kehillah have not heard shofar before. Mahaya Rosh Hashanah b'Yom Hevel, Rosh Hashanah that year was Thursday, Friday. Or B'Shah Shabbat Shofar, by the time they bought the shofar, Kavaris Balalu Shal Shabbos, so there has been the Kabbalah Shabbos. Place it was, I don't know where this Bethel is, but it's 7 o'clock, Nacht is 8 o'clock, and then the Kabbalah Shabbos at 7 o'clock. But it's still light outside. The pastor's Pashkir, the light outside. Had they not davened, there wouldn't be a Shiloh. The state would have to hit But the problem is they have been Makabel Shabbos. Ma'or is curve Eishnafi. Right, this is the Shiloh that came, what is the below Shofar at this time? The emissions is 2 Shilohs. One Shiloh is about blowing the Shofar at that time, Mukta, Klishir, and the second Shiloh is the listen, and even Makayim Mitzvah. I've been Makabel Shabbos, that means it's no longer a time.
You mean that the guy who brings the one
Very good. Never thought of that. Because he hadn't been Makabel Shabbos. In a family. Right. Right. And so
If the Shliach was a Yid.
If the Shliach was in need, yeah. True.
If he wasn't a Yid, Pashtus wasn't a Yid. How could he travel?
We don't know how far away this Bethel is. It could have been, within.
Okay.
Yeah. We don't know. But this is a Shiloh. So in the response, the task obviously customs that it is okay. But how does he get there? And what are the riots he brings? Because this is the Tshuva of Moshe brings that explain why someone who's Makabel Shabbos early can still count Shviras Omer from Friday. So he brings a different Motzcha, Mazel Hashem. A Kimler Masnis, the Sofet HaSheicha Ma'arvin Eruvik HaTzir. Sofet HaSheicha, we all know this from Bam Madlikin, but Bones was Ashkenaz, we don't say Pigat, we say Bam Madlikin. Right, Sofet HaSheicha Ma'arvin Eruvik HaTzir. If you haven't made the Eruv, right, Eruvik HaTzir, the carry, then you, if it's Sofet HaSheicha, that means in the Beinach Matas, then you can still make an Eruv. You're a Shri, you're a Hanalo became Kirk the Hajib or Shalmi, who I did Eruv Tashila. And again, this is a style that comes up quite a bit. You get the stool and start the mincha and you open the master. And the first thing in the master before mincha, there's a feeling that and we send them home. We send them home. We say, come we're being kept in the rock. And the answer is no, go home. While you still can, go home and make an Eruv. That's the first thing we tell you. Or use the shul phone and call home and make money your wife to make the Eruv. There's only so many times you can't, every single young can't rely on the wrong Eruv. Not only can you make an Eruv Tashilin and an Eruv Tatzera not Shkia, but even if it's before Shkia, but I did the Kabbalah Shabbos, I've done Kabbalah Shabbos, I can still make an Eruv. But when I start married, it's like blowing paper. So here in Broughton Park, they sound music on one of the rooftops. Where I live, we can't hear it clearly, but they put some music on. What's that about? So it's reminiscent of the times when they would blow shofar or shofar to bring in Shabbos. They would have to do that not now, but they'd have to do that before Shkia. That's when they'd blow the shofar. That's when they would announce people to be Makabel Shabbos. And even after that, people would be allowed. This is what the Taz demonstrating that even after they've blown the shofar and people to tell people to be Makabel Shabbos, and the states of people would have been Makabel Shabbos. I feel after so they were talking about after Shkia and people haven't thought about being Makabel Shabbos, or whether we're talking about before Shkia, not Klag, but you've been Makabel Shabbos, you can make an error. So then the Taz talks about the Dvar Mitzvah and not Dvar Mitzvah. If I've been Makabel Shabbos, I can't do it. I can't do Malachos. It's interesting that the pastor said, if I've been Makabel Shabbos early, I can knock on your door, you've not yet been Makabel Shabbos, and I can ask you, I can instruct you to do a Malacha, even though I cannot instruct a boy to do a Malacha. But a Yid I can. And it's the same after Shabbos. The hardest for Rabbeinu Tam. You're right, Micah Hiller, we don't keep Rabbeinu Tam, but the Hiller next door keeps Rabbeinu Tam time. Can he ask me to switch the lights on Shabbos? You can. And the place can write the same thing with me sending a fax. Can I send a fax to someone in America? It's not Shabbos by me, but it's Shabbos by him. I'm able to do that. A guy sending in a fax would be a problem. He's sending in a fax would not be a problem. Rav Moshe's got a chiddush. Rav Moshe's got a chiddush about opening cans. So Rav Moshe doesn't like. Rav Moshe has either a pointer opening tins on Shabbos. But he recognizes that there are places, that do open cans and tins on Shabbos. So Rav Moshe said, if a boy opens a can for you on Shabbos, I can't open a can on Shabbos. And a guy that understands that, he opens a can for me on Shabbos, I'm not allowed to have an after that. It's on a malacha on my behalf. What about if he opens that can on my behalf? Because he holds, he holds fire of Avadia in a Chabad as well. No? Cans like these. You don't. No, but those who follow Avadia stuff on the he doesn't quote which Christian, right? He opens a can on Shabbos, and I didn't ask him, so he opens a can for me on Shabbos. But that's kind of allowed to have an offer. Sometimes he's doing a malacha for me, because for him it's a heta is better than the boy doing a malacha. Very interesting. So Samazah, if I've been Makabel Shabbos, that's Shabbos. I've been Makabel Shabbos an hour, 2 hours before that. It's Shabbos, I can't do any malacha. So what's the svara that I can blow shofar? What's the svara that I can hear shofar? I've been Makabel Shabbos. He's like a candle of the Bar Mitzvah to go into Kiyah Shofar B'Kiyotza Svara. When it comes to the Bar Mitzvah, there is a reason. There is a reason to say that yes, I was Makabel Shabbos, but I can't be Makabel Shabbos connected to Mekayim other mitzvahs. I'm being Mekayim Shabbos because there's a mitzvah of Pesach Shabbos. But that doesn't take place, and I wouldn't have been Mekayim Shabbos if I knew that I still had an opportunity to blow shofar. Rav Avadia said the bottom fourth. I didn't include it in the quote here. He talks about what happens if someone hasn't put on tefillin, and he's Makabel Shabbos, and he realizes, all of a sudden now he has an opportunity. Someone comes, a shliach comes with a pair of tefillin, now he has an opportunity. Can he still do it? Right? And the pastors he can't. And Rav Avadia is machalek as to what the difference is between shofar and tefillin. So how can we do it here? So the task continues. When a person is being makabel upon himself to take Shabbos early, of course there is a svara to say that yes, I was makabel Shabbos, but not to do so in place of performing another mitzvah. Every single person wants to be Mekayim the mitzvah to be able. It doesn't make sense as a task. How it works? It doesn't make sense that a person would have this frumkeit to be Mekabel Shabbos early at the expense of hearing Shofar. It doesn't make sense. Be Mekabel Shabbos early, very nice. But to do so at the expense of the mitzvah hayoim, no rational person will be Mekabel Shabbos early in that regard. The task continues, and he brings a raya from the din of Nila. Silachum Masala has to be explained. So say a baby is born Friday afternoon, and the father has been. Let's talk about this Friday. This Friday the baby's born, so the bris would be Summer's the following Friday. But here's the ball: the father's already been Mekabel Shabbos. Do we say that without the father being Mekabel Shabbos, therefore the bris should be on Shabbos? Of course not. Of course not. The bris should also be on Friday. What about the other way around? The baby was born Friday afternoon. The moil, for some reason, didn't come in the morning. And he only came in the afternoon. For some reason, the father was already in the Mekabel Shabbos. Do we say that without the father's already in the Mekabel Shabbos, or the moil's already in the Mekabel Shabbos? Right? And without the father's already in the Mekabel Shabbos, that you can't make the bris? Of course not. So when he was born Erev Shabbos after he was Mekabel Shabbos, or so when the bris would be Friday Erev Shabbos when he's ready to be Mekabel Shabbos, we still treat the Erev Shabbos as Erev Shabbos and not a Shabbos. And the boy would still have to have the bris milah on Erev Shabbos. That's a raya, says the Taz. The bris milah is a raya that when it comes to shofar, if the kehillah, and we're talking about against the kehillah here, if the kehillah have already been Mekabel Shabbos, but they haven't heard shofar, that they would still hear shofar and they'd still blow shofar, because no rational person got the Taz. Nobody would be Mekabel Shabbos, Adaita, not to be Mekayim, the mitzvah Hayom. So Rav Moshe brings this task.
I used to call it the child is having the milah.
If the child is having the milah, in Achanami, and it's the moil who's performing.
Here, I'm doing a mitzvah, I'm not.
But the task says the word both ways.
Are we saying that the person blowing the shofar is he Mekabel Shabbos?
Yeah. Yeah, the task is definitely talking about
between the milah, the moil hasn't been coupled.
The evidence is it's the whole kehillah. We're talking about the whole kehillah, so we're talking about side the person blowing the shofar and the shmaya process. The mikvah is going to the same. Maybe they said even be yotze. If not for this task, maybe they said be yotze. Listen to the shofar. If it's Shabbos Friday, it's not Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah going Thursday, Friday. Now it's not Friday anymore. But the task, no. I mean, a couple of times.
I understand it's still not.
It's not a direct comparison.
Yeah.
There's a difference. But think about the model. Think about the Aviyah Ben. Think about.
You're trying to say you can do a malacha. You're saying someone. No, not only can he make kindness, but he can do a malacha.
The male is doing a malacha, and the father as well. The father might do it, not the support to him. The father has the mitzvah.
He's not doing a malacha.
Let's say the father is the male. He's doing it.
Obviously, he was doing.
Yeah.
So you're saying that he could even do the malacha.
Yeah, he can do that. Yeah.
He can do the malacha. I'm saying this.
He's using Mila as a raya. Why is his shayla?
I'm saying you before you were saying that it's the mom. Now you're saying that the father's the mom.
The Tazma doesn't actually spell out the difference. The mice of the Mila is the father's mitzvah. It's the father's Mila.
Right.
So he's not the halal of the different people.
You're going to try.
The Chayra does know nothing. Who's performing the mitzvah? The Chayra does know that. I don't see why they could do enough. The Taz isn't Machalek, whether the father is up. Sorry, there won't be a different thought. So Rav Moshe brings this Taz. Rav Moshe brings this Taz to explain. In the Asaites, he's replying to it's a similar to Ephraim Greenblatt. So with Ephraim Greenblatt's uncle, which is not the Greenblatt, Ephraim Greenblatt was one of Rav Moshe's main Talmidim. He lived in Tennessee. He went to Tennessee in many ways, spent the last years in Extra. So a lot of the children from the Moshe are addressed to Ephraim Greenblatt. So he says already, I'm asking with the Savara that your uncle was not a Greenblatt folk, that bringing this past was not a Greenblatt, it was a monk. So he says, in Rakibal Shabbos, I know it's material on Shabbos, which is the way Shabbos that we ask him, this material of how you know Shabbos. So he says, Shopper Dima Dopa, your uncle has compared it to the Holocaust of Shabbos, that which he has fast in Shabbos. So below her, like Tibor Shofar, because Tibor was not a Shofar, and it was brought to her, it was brought to them through a goy. That's what he said, right? There was a goy that bought it. The Shofar is not the one who's not in the Shabbos. But he had those words in. I don't know how Rav Moshe knows that the Taz is talking about the Tziliach is a goy. Stands though, when we talk about the word Tziliach, we're talking about in singular. We're not talking about a non-group. When the guy bought Shofar after Kabbalah Shabbos, they go to Tzrich and the Shofar, and the Taz out of Kabbalah Shabbos. He's using an even stronger loss than the Taz. But the Kabbalah Shabbos was the Taz. The Pashtas. Yeah, but the Pashtas, according to the Taz, the Kabbalah Shabbos, we don't waive his Kabbalah Shabbos. We're allowed to do this mitzvah. Can you do it in Malachas now? Pashtas, not.
Says the Kabbalah, Taz says the Kabbalah. Yeah, well,
Yeah, the Moshe seems to be saying the Gap is totally the Gans Kabbalah Shabbos. Now we can switch the lights on and off.
They can have the government again?
I don't know. By Spirit Aimee, you wouldn't have to. By Spirit Aimee, you wouldn't have to.
Why not?
That's a good, I don't know. None of the places can say after the Indian stuff. The Pashtus it seems stuff like over this mitzvah. So even if Moshe wouldn't hold that you can start switching the light on. It's a Zoivi who's Makabal Shabbos. The Ravadi also brings other rayas as to why.
He wanted to do the Shabbos early, so he's got the mitzvah done. Now his Kabbalah will take place.
And the ayat has been discussed to think it doesn't matter.
Yeah, in Hanami, it's another raya. He's bringing all the appointments. Yeah, the pastors, you're right. You wouldn't even need this command system in Hanami. We're living in the Omer in particular. We look at it as a man of sex data, the dollar being taken. And it's them as we say after this, only you're up to Kibanabis and Lupa can hear your name.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Right away, you picked the remember before you quit.
What's the distance beside this order?
It's not here, it's a little divine.
Shuma Roche, whether it's here, whether it's there. This year was a special year. Erev Paisa Shachol B'Shabbos. One of the famous communion brought down Erev Paisa Shachol B'Shabbos is the Gemara in Suchem, Daf Samach Vulu with Aleph, B'nai B'Sayler, B'Salmer, Lucha in B'Salmer B'nai B'Sayler. B'nai B'Sayler didn't remember that Lucha had come Paisa the Doiche Shabbos. Achas says the Gemara in Suchem Daf Samach Vulu with Aleph. All our Abusa is the Shabbos. Shokchi the Yodi, if a girl, if you remember it in place of Brillis Hashem, it's not. Only they said, Klim Yesh Udam, she and Daya, everybody there would know. In place of Brillis Hashem, it's not. Only them, Udam, Echad, Yesh, Ula, the Buddha, the Hill, the Bavli, Shemoi, the Shimmer, Shai, Tagadola, Ado, Shmaya, Italian, the Daya, in place of Brillis Hashem, blah, the Kurdim, and he brought Rayas from place of Brillis Hashem. The Gemara is more Katze, more Psuch Basamachro. The Rishalmi is more Marek. The Rishalmi, beginning of the sixth parak in Psuchim, is more Marek. But there's a big dispute. Every Raya they brought, the Benai B'Sayre are ungefragt. They brought the Raya, first they said, Hekish. Name the Hekish, Ma, Tume, is Mechachir Shabbos, of Isaac Shabbos. Look at it now, Mala Tumet Shikayesh the Kitzler. Tumet the Paisa Shaine Kitzler. From Tumet got Kitzler, it's got the Mount. Or you can't not come Paisa Shaine Kitzler. Then they come Choyma, Mala Tumet the Shabbos coach from Paisa, so no. Sharaye. Tumet is called Shikudishim, Shaine can Paisa Kudishim Kamet. It's like a Shuva, strike my Abba the Paisa, strike my Abba the Tumet. I will not be a Shuva answer. The big dispute until Hillel said, I don't care, you were like or kill me whatever you want, I feel the Kirsten, or the Shemad, the Shemai, the Italian, as Paiser as Durcheschaft. Even she showed me any car, only in many Oyster Lucy alive. Come, Ali said there, and come, and the cat, the Prime Messiah, they would see it, one of them were the three brothers, one of them, Shimon, the Messiah, he the Messiah. The three brothers, says the Mashur here, and one of them was the Messiah, and if we tried to be the Messiah, he went away from the Messiah, he gave over the Messiah, so Hillel, the war learns out from the Messiah, he held the Yamiris from the Benai B'Sayre. And the Sefte, in Tuchim, the same Choyz is brought here, also the whole Azura brought the couple of words of Hillel, and he brought all these rayas, and at the end, he said, Capital Blami, Pishmad Italian, no Pesach Tzibber, and I feel Pesach Yuch. It's the Yuch. Not Pesach Tzibber, even Pesach Yuch. So this is an account the Halucha, this Alma, Halucha of the B'Sayre, the Rishalmi says, that Shemayim was the Salon, Kedai, as the Hillel of Adam the Musi, dass Shemayim will grow with the Alma and the Halucha, the Hillel again. The famous Kasher, Welt's Kasher, the ganze Welt played. You all know Kinus Hatorah, we learn Kinus Hatorah, we learn Chitas, don't we? Hope so. And we learn Pashas of the Aloy school. We know this we said Pashas Shmini, Oyse Yoyim, Nutel, as Pesach too. As the Chodesh Nis, the second year in the Midbar, the Chodesh Nis was Sunday. The Chodesh Nis Sunday, like this year, Erev Pesach and Shabbos. The Torah writes, here, the Torah Pashas Aloy school, Hashem commanded the Yid to bring Kol Pesach the second year in the Midbar. So Philip, the Messiah didn't know the limit, or the Zayir Shura, or the Kabula, or the Lamasi, they saw the fact was Hashem commanded the Yidden to bring Kol Pesach the second year of the Mikvah. It's Baruch Shabbos, there was Shabbos that year. As we bring the answer to that question, many Mahalchim of the Ritzim to answer this question. I'm sure the Rebbe's got a few more well. Sure. They check up, I always back after I speak, the Oilim come tells me where the Rebbe speaks. I'm sure the Rebbe speaks. It's a famous Welt's Kasher, Shia, on Chudosh, on Soifer, everybody here, Mashapir, eine hat Mahalchim schon mit dem Pilpel, mit dem Schaf, mit Aguda, mit Chassidus. So, I'll tell you a Pshat, was zwei Gedolim gesagt. Ein litwische Gudu, in a Chassidische Gudu. Litwische Gudu gewesen, der eigene son-in-law of the Meshach Chochmah, the Winsker Ruf, was called, uns hat der Seher Ruam, hat sich geschrieben gerade mit Menachem Zembel, der Homzeit ist bestimmt Brief, und der Menachem Zembel, der größte polnische Guren, das war der Seher Ruam, he was an item of the Meshach Chochmah, the Meister Rebbe. I think the literature as well understand. In the site, this is the same word in the raising the Baal of Chaynes. The Gershon Heinech, in the Radzi, the Babetscham, the Gershon Heinech Koyen. Ja, die Ältefette, you know, yes, the Gershon Koyen, the Chef, Fußball, Schule. As the Schule was done. You have elke vette gerst nemen? Vette. Dat is elke vette. Dat is brede, ja. Dat is wel. Dat gerst nemen, gerst nemen van het geil. Het stamt van Polnische Stielen. Sind wir schon. Der gerst heen is gewesen, was the about kindness. He was gonna have kindness, it's changing over. It's changing. Aber about kindness, ich weiß, der schnell in der Sie, was sagst du, was soll die Schlume? War teure. The same time, it's a long distance, but must not see. So when you say the longest, it's not see. You want to go to the Rayon. Because the family rule says in Psuchen, darf ein Ches unbeweist, as the rule of Psuchen, the Nusen says, Menai Shekol Yisrael Yuntzmu Pesach Eichel. Ganz kalt vom Jütz und Longkamp, was da neue bestocht die Äußerung der Hauer, das ist cool bei einer Boy. Ich kann auch cool schulden, weil ein Schuld ein Eichel, so wie noch die Muck nicht in den Sachen hier schwierig. Aber die Muck hier im Psuchen sind nicht, man muss das nicht, einem Namen Shekol Yisrael Yuntzmu Pesach Eichel. In Achille is maken, dat is Achille te maken. Says, zeer aan hoor. And also the Balkailes. Als du zwei Londes, die kommen Peise, er kommt Zimmer. If the class wurde die Jüngste, dann ist es kommen Peise, und morgen kommen Peise, dann kommen Zimmer. Aber es fehlen, dann wird es Achille. Dann muss Achille eine Marke, was damit es Achille. You've got a choice, you can come Peise, you call, you can the use of this you have two choices you submit. So if you use the 8 called it's failing with the Sachile. Or the use with Sachile, therefore you can't mix the Chamire can't go whole colors. So since it's 2D, they call them they call them two options. If you say, no, you have got 2 options, you have to be the with Sachile. No market could come. You want to look hands on. My Messiah, you have a caution, you have an eye. From the compilers book in the Midbar. Why? Because maybe the Midbar, the only book one compiler, was called Zimmer. I compiler. And this is called Yochid. And it was durch Shabbos. Called Zimmer durch Shabbos. The whole time was. You call it up from Tumme, yes, the kids, compiler, eine Kitze. But if it's a called Zimmer, yes, the kids is one compiler. And maybe it's a called Zimmer. It's not Hula Achille, it's called Shekunishanim, it's not Kunshin. It's Hula Achille either. So the dispute here was, who says that it's called Yuchel? It's either used at the center, the Loirak called Zimmer, and the Yam called Yuchel. The center is, they all agreed, they all knew the compromise of Berger Shabbos. They didn't realize it's Berger only with Zimmer one called, or if the year that it's the one compromise. Maybe Shabbos is only with Nitches with Zimmer, nicht Yuchel. Gibt es eine kleine Hände, schreibt gewaltig geschrieben. Das dann. Die Neule nimmt einfach den Eibe Seile, so stimmt mit der Parche Paschbaloisku. Wo steht Paschbaloisku? Nur mal die Gura. Or if that year, they only bought one called Peiser als called Zimmer, what's the number of Gura? If every Jugend means called Peiser, the number of Gura, with Mai, with Tumme. But if it's a called Zimmer, you know the Gura, it's a called Zimmer. Also ich finde, ich bin das dann beklauen, die Welt von die Geduld. I'll tell you also, the Belzer Rebbe schrieb, when to visit the Hand Bacham, the Babach Rebbe, and Tuf Shir them out. I was a book of them, and they gave me a tape, to listen to the tape. They also gave me scripture for the Babach Rebbe geschrieben. Und the Babach beschreiben ist kapoisch in English, now the Babach in English, they don't geschrieben. Ich habe es gehört im Tape. Das ist wirklich nicht. Aber ich habe es gehört im Tape. Gehört im Tape. We spoke about the Rashi Pastor Kosa. There's not many things. But the Rashi Pastor Kosa, as the Lord through the Chem, Kamish Mayu, and Mayu, the Chem, Ruby and Dover. Kashi, Kachi, eine Dover, die Gute, was mit zu reden. Das ist die Rashi. Und die von der Rebbe, der Bamsche Rebbe, da kann der Logit schauen. Als Tome Frauen 10 Jiden, ist nicht gar 10 Jiden, was da 10. Kann der Logit schauen. Der Logit schauen so. Also Minion heißt ich 10 Jiden, I mean nice. Aber ich bin 10 für 10. Ui, der erste da, der Antrag. Was heißt kommen Zimmer? Kommen Zimmer heißt, da kommt von Asach, many Jiden together, where you come, Oh no, it's like a Zimmer, it's called Zimmer, it's like a limited company, it's called Zimmer. Nicht dir, called Zimmer. In dieses Lernen darf Yoimi, jetzt gelernt nicht in Schule, I think it's the second Mishnah in Schule, and du am Achrozish ben Bichri, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. The Bichri says that the Kahanim are put to give Machzis Hashem. Only in Israel. The Bichri says no. Avadu the Kahanim are to give Machzis Hashem. Elu shekahanim doishem pusay zeh la'atzma. That's the kasha. How can it be that the Kohen gives Machzis Hashem? Kind of also Kohen is a shitter in all the menuchas of Klal Yisrael, menuchas Tzibah. The Milchus Koyen, ich habe Pashas Zahn, es Kilo Kohen, darf man ganz verbrennen. How can we eat the Milchus Tzibah? The Koyen belongs to the Koyen, Milchus Koyen with Koyen. I mean, no, Koyen is put in the Machzah Shekel. And we're going to say it's a false this. Why? Because when the Koyen gives Machzah Shekel, it doesn't mean that this Koyen is a shitter, Kipchitoi. He's got a part in this part of the Tzibah. It's a part of the Tzibah. It's the Tzibah. It's under the horse, the Tzibah, finished. And Koyen, they lie him with the Yisrael, they're shitfin. He's got his schools, it's Tzibah. I feel like Milchus Koyen is cooler here, but Milchus Tzibah, I feel like Koyen is a part of the Tzibah, doesn't change their look. As well, the Bichel Mazak. Zug der Avnenize, das ist gerade nicht Avnenize, das ist Achieve, eine Einigkeit Avnenize, das ist ein Grandschalt Avnenize. Ich habe nicht mit Zirkus Tamer gegeben, als mit dir kennen, Rashi, und noch was man wohnt, als bei Bichli argues. When Bichli holds, as a carbon Tzibah means that Kibama Shitfet. And that's why he held was put in Machzah Shekel. Kintos, according to the Avnenize, the Pirish Rashi, the Nuchas Tango, you have a Chloikis, then Bichli, and Bichli, and Zakai, was at the time Tzibah. Lord, Bichli, and Zakai, is in the wrong child. Tzibah heißt, Anai Mahus, Tzibah. Masha Ankai, Lord, ben Bichli, Tzibah means, even Shimon with nine or Shitfet. That's why how there the foot of Machzah Shekel, they'll be hanging with their cheshbon, as if you have a part of a kohen, it's kilo kule. Oh, sei geht. Das ist der Reife Rashi. Rashi Shituso. Rashi Shituso is learned. Chavos ben Bichli. How does Bichli Bezaka? Bichli holds as a code of many Yechid in the Reife Rashi Latoyer. Rashi learns one Pshat. I don't know who saw, but kohen, but do so. But to me, I should Loi Teuchel. Vom Land und kommen Tome. If Tzibah is one big Tzibah, who sharks is doing the paper of the Chusov, in the laws of the Heilig, kommen Tome. In the Haraya, the Rashi not get shits the Bichli. The Bichli is holy Bichli Mazaka. It was Sach, Yechide in the Tzibah. Auf Heilig of the Chusov, los immer, nicht nur the Heilig of the Yechide. Das ist top shooting. Einfach ist es nicht der Teuchel, wie ich Teuchel ist. Mit Rushoi, auf Heilig of the Chusov Tome. Die zwei Stunden, die ganze Bichli Mazaka in der Bichli. يقول لك بالبخي يخلوه شعر وطيب من الخوصة ويقول لك حالك من التوبة يقول لك مثل مزاكا الشعر يقول لك حالك من التوبة مثل ما ليه أنه طيب من الخوصة بيكون بالتوبة ما هي أكتوبة لازم من التوبة المعيلة بس بحلق أو زي بلا تخيلس زي ما هو تشتغل بالبخي if you hold up the consider means many if they're taller they can't be shit for it if it's timber خليك ده ياخذ الطمر الكالس هو عشان شرط timber and the colors was colors if you learn that from timber means every ياخذ the part of the timber they said Lumanigura since we're Toma we bring one compromise we have got the privilege Lumanigura the point of the source the big news Lumanigura the bringing a comb the point of the source we've not written in the comb timber so what can we do that was their talent. So this is the word of the Bartchailes, of the Zegabot to the Emperor, by the side of the new Taker, as a carbon price was bought, was only carbon timber, which a carbon. Bartchailes lives at Achsidish in the hair. What's the chapter in the soul of the sun? Carbon price, durch a Shabbos is a gewaltige Sache. Why? We know Shabbos Kriyakai. Shabbos is step back with the Ruach. Als je eigenlijk een Pesach, dan kan je schroeven en baas maken. Kan je gewoon kan je komen Pesach. Kunnen kinderen Pesach in de doige Shabbos, de geweldige koeien. Kunnen als niet, het is gewoon koeien, het is koeien. to be only the children of the Reise of Shabbos, spielen keine, so der Eibestell reinkommen, die kennen durchgesagt, die Schule, was meinen, das ist Schule, okay, weil die durch Shabbos, ich wollte gekommen. So when I decided to, this is only Shach Betzimmer. Also, Betzimmer, habe ich gewollt, die Kinnis, das ist der Wort in seiner Sonnenschule, ich bin durchgeschaut. Who says, jeder Juchid mit der Amtsleut, Juchid allein, jeder Juchid, wie ich sagen, man reiche, dieser Beide, mit Durche Shabbos, heißen Durche Shabbos, das habe ich schon mal mitverlegt, was ist, die treibt gesagt, Schule, die treibt Kalbe Chulme, die treibt Heckisch. Das ist also, teure, die gesagt, Schule ist teure noch am Mitte, das ist in der Gewill. Das ist in der Limmischen Gewill, in der Mitte. Eine Schule, Heckisch, Kalbe Chulme, teure in der Gewill, jetzt, und Machiach jetzt, da jede Juche mit durchgeschaut. This Himmel said, Ach, mit Kiblani nicht mal Bartalien, mit Kabule, Teure Belilewisch, mit Kabule. Sagt Teure, muss es so unangewisch, und kennt mich hier, so nicht so mit der Balotreiles. Aber Billa, jeder Juchid, mit durchgeschaut. Die Augen, die Koyach, die Limit, in einem Paar Schraube Schabes, ist der Oli, für die Kabule. Das alles muss noch auf darf gehillen. Hillen on the one who is Machich is Alucha as Paisach beyuchet durch Shabbos. Because we know, the Musik has said, only we have Arnesin Kehillen. Hillen is a voltige Una. Voltige Una. It's not a vote, a bekannte Wort von der Beditschele. Mu Hashem Elekeichu Shoyim Emma. Hashem asked you to be Mu, to be Banuva. Ki only, Liyeru. Es gibt hier schon mal ein Doppel. A person with Una, with his friend, with his neighbor, the Vater, the guy at the Gashmias, was the guy at the Yikmalim of the Daka Hashem, which the stand and realize, who's Zara Holy can often, and then Zara Shak will have Gleim in the Koyach and Ayin, people can often. No, to Zara, a kind of Mother is Emes, only the year of Kim to the Shamatato, a person believe in the Koyach, in a Koyach of Ayin, how great we always than the king. He says, please evolve. Please evolve to remember the best and the rich and lucky. It says, so I'm very happy as what is Hashem that my simcha is get the magic. So for me, as simcha, as what is Hashem that my simcha is not going to vacation or going on holiday, going to a restaurant. My simcha is so I'm happy as what is Hashem, my simcha is not. I don't the Rebbe, the magic. And you always there, so the rest of simcha is, who says Hashem? I can bring a simcha to the Eibishter. Who says Hashem? I can be going with simcha to the Eibishter. The rest of the Sache, a Mensch, a Kuretz Bechoyme, can go with simcha to the Eibishter. Hillel gemeint der Amsen. Hillel allein der Amsen, he teaches ganz nur Kiemriere. Aber es gibt hier schon mal, es gibt so teure noch nie in Chakauna. Die noch wissen, bei ihm vermittelt, bei ihm nur vermittelt. Aber da nur mit Psyle, nur mit bestimmten Realize, wir können von ihm, das will ich gar nicht.
Das also the stone was going to wait there to a flag of thousands.
Flag of thousands.
They were gaining.
Yeah.
The Kabbalah from Shmar of Tari Takum Eichstalei.
Absolutely.
There's not all the people from Zichalei from Kalkum, the Bari Yichusim.
Good. Ja, aber wie wir sagen noch aber, jetzt haben wir gewonnen. Ja, gewonnen. Sie sehr sagen. Ja. Wir sagen noch aber. Another kasha is asked from the Pesach which is brought in Gilgal. Gilgal is auch wieder called Pesach. Was durchgeschaut ist, because the Rosh says, the Psuchim, as in Gilgal, that year, the year they reached at school, the Yeshiva, the first year, he said that the first day of Pesach, yes, Pesach in Gilgal. And it wasn't, it had Kua and Rosh, and the Psuchim was Shabbos. Again, however, so the Tzrifa brings this kasha in his Chivas, and he says as follows: since the famous Toysers in Psuchim and Buvim with Bais, the city of Reb Chiste and Rabbe, if you say Hoy, Yom to the person cooks Yom to Ach Yom to, is you either is the Reis or is the Rabun. Das ist auch so, ist eine Reise. Wir geben euch ein Leben, mit euch Jont, und wir can't go and Jont tomorrow. But you're Loike, Rabbi says, no, but Torah is the concept of oil. Oil, wow, Mikra Oche. It's Chuzalem. Now, Torah, you know, oil because oil. Kim was the first minute of oil. It could be, he's coming this tomorrow. But it could be possible for today. In this case, the rice, there's no problem. The basket is oil. So, if I why the person is a buyer on Shabbos, why is it like oil? Maybe if I the oil, she has to secure who needs this malocha. Maybe Hushim needs anything. You can call Shabbos for anything to Hushim. Maybe as a Philip, you make a hot iron Shabbos, like a patish. Maybe you have to take a person's sick, the person's sick, and his neck, and the fever, you touch it with a hot iron, you can revive. Shy to find some use, some lucha for Hushim. Maybe who knows? Maybe Hushim. The Bezos Cholim Lucha was a prediction. It used to go along the street in Tel Aviv, and he heard the cars, the far from the food. Those limits. They don't get something. So that you say, was my hand is fragile. You are limits. So pay toys first. The whole the Bezos will keep it together. The whole I should go to school in Tel Aviv. The whole. And the person is, what is the school in Loyschriche? That's what I want to do. What is the school in Loyschriche? Nicht in Loyschriche? Loyschriche, what is the school? Meine Kind kommt sehr heute. That's some sort of, that's normal kids. That's normal kids. But that here in Gilgal, class room was gemacht. The whole class room made bris milah. They were all what is the school, eh? The meine can be a shop. Then gibt's a guy that's some sort of Dochamal. I want to ask the oil about it. I want the guy to the Babachik see. Kinus Hatorah Kohen gets right in the Shine. You know, the Babachik see were famous in the whole world for Kinus. Kinus Hatorah, some Kinus Hatorah do a move and go here. Was will there some Mamish go here? The whole Penitentiary of Dicticate. The Krieg had Schwein of Talent guidance. If they want to come, the whole Yiddishkeit. They come Sunday, they come Monday. I remember there was a sheet of so out the person und film. My high, it's like going. Okay. So when the best people in Blue Lane, they have a goy that is 30 years there they come. Most of them come, he believes in Hashem. He knows the whole guide to the Jewish law, aber der Wab lost him nicht. Und er hat goy gras getan, der Wab lost him. Kommt zweimal ein Jahr. Kippe, Tisch. Nein. I will hit the horn. Yes. I'm out there weiter. The Färische Gemure, freie, eine Sammlung Goy Beshabbos, Shenu Yame Beschwire. The Färische Mechaber. And I'm sure it's a big problem. Is it? Beyond. Sorry. Eine Sammlung als Woche Beyond. Sei schon Yame Beschwire. I'm sure it's a big problem. So gibt es eine Einzel und ein Goy will kommen zu wissen, auf Shabbos ist Jom von mir, Shabbos von mir, Jom sind, ich habe ja geschrieben. Also kocht man, ist das schwer, das ist ein Problem, aber es ist können. Das ist reizig. Schon reizig, das ist reizig. Denk so für alle, die drei Araber, die kommen, sagen wir, der echt gut beißen. Kyle, we call to the killer, fill the out of Shin. How can we read him right? The three Arabs. So, Kimmen, Jonte Peiser essen bei, ist einmal Samen noch, die Jahre schon ja beschweren, sie fickt und so. Das ist famous Tales, noch wie Appell. Heilig Tales sucht es, das versteht. Dann hören wir dazu, ich habe wahrscheinlich so, Tales. Well, the whole household, wie man sagt, alle. Sie haben Heu, right? The Heu is over the Rabuna. So it's three Rabuna. Ich habe ja Beschwilo, ich habe Beschwilo over the Rabuna. And Heu is over the Rabuna. Three Rabuna nicht groß sein. So ich habe gesagt, I'm the there was a Heu. Like in Gilgal, we have all the Heu. He also have all the Heu. You have a Heu. You have a Heu. And also the whole man Beschwilo over the Rabuna. He says, I could be sure over the Rabuna. This is three Rabuna not groß. What's my question?
Why was it
Pesach, had pie to be open.
He was Etzim Haylon.
Zwischen den Bienen, okay.
What?
Zwischen den Bienen.
Yeah, no. Which day was it? It was Yudalit, it was Tengar.
That's wrong.
She was cooking 3-star for what?
No,
She was cooking for that night, no?
no, it's a kasha.
I'm saying that was Yudalit.
Was that's wrong. Maybe that's wrong. I was not bereit. It's not bereit. Zwischen den Bienen, it's the day. It was midday. It was midday, that's wrong. Go to the pie.
She was cooking
The blazer Akala says it was Yom. That's I'm looking pie. You don't say pie about Chano. The person brings it down to Rosh Hashanah. It was Tess Movement. We're talking pie. Talking pie, yeah. If it was Yom to Pesach and they invited the guests midday, I took an I'm a Zamnin noch in Yom. This place there is like the answer was holy. My question is, it was holy. Shabbos, you have to have a Tuesday holy. Yom was always holy. Then it wasn't toilet because all the people were going. Only the household. Also, nobody was the street. Okay, you have to have but if it's through that concept that the private Aburam, it's okay, allowed to invite and go. Because you've got Hoyel, why is it only the case when you have Hoyelish Paskuna? Every single Yonte, you have Hoyel. But the Gemara Pastors, I'm a Zamning Goy, Yonte. Every Yonte there is Hoyel. Shabbos, you don't have Hoyel. Only Chodesh Paskuna. The Shabbos no had to look. Yom Tov is always had to look on Hoyel. If is right with his chesed, that the pride of Buran without the weiter going is not the whole look of I'm Zamning Goy Yom Tov. The chesed is really true. It's a very good. So all the when you know parents, to say themselves, you also know parents. Look at parents on his kasha. How was it possible to invite the 3 Arabs to come in the house of a Goravidi on Pais? Yeah, that was the kasha. Hey, took called the park and was Pais. And the Gemara says, I'm a Zamne noch in Yotem Shalam B'Shvila. And the Teretz of the Psalm is Hoyel is schwer. I don't know the Teretz, the Hoyel is there. It's my Chesuna Ravuna, because every Yotem there's Hoyel, if so, also is. So I want to say New Pshat. New Pshat, the Tzif himself, in another place, has a concept which can have a discussion. So he says that when he was a child, when he was young, he said a vow to the Busen Ab, his Rebbe, and his Rebbe was geloid, cold side. The Rebbe was geloid, Busen Ab. What was the vow? Hey, the Rebbe of Yonis, the place asks the question, how could a woman give milk to the Arabs? The Gemara of Chodesh Daf Ches says that milk is usa als eine Menachat. Only when the Torah came along, this is Eretz who was Chula with Vosh, the Torah is Megala, the Torah is Loibik, the school with Chula, the Torah was Mata Chula als eine Menachat. But before Torah was given, this is eine Menachat. After the Gemara of Torah, the Ekemida, the Yisroel Shua, the Goy Usa, basically by Goy, I use Kava with Miller. Aber Faber von Torah, the Torah, but Torah is Usa, by eine Menachat. How could you really give Mashtu, the 3 Arabs, to themselves, the milk? But I'm not going to say that. So the Heilige Samsoife, since the Achim of Torah, milk, will be Mitte of Doag Ben Achai. And Maya, when we use the Kavan Torah, and became a Yid in the form of Torah. Kira, which is Luchem, if Rovini was a Beruch, the Chimre, the Kira, there's no, but the Raya, Rovini could give milk. The Arabs do it of Rovini. Everybody who came into the Avira, to the house of Rovini, became this Atzim, Mikdishis HaTorah, and had the head of a Yid. And everybody who came in, since he gave milk for the Arabs, because after the Torah was given, the Mitte. All the Chag was a Torah. Rovini, good for the Kav, it became Yid. The Arabs came from outside, and Rovini's house was so highly. Whoever came in became a Yid, like a Bisham Yid. So was Kasha, what's the Kasha? How can you be Zaman the Goy? How can you be Zaman the Goy? He's doing the Goy, that they became Yid. They became Yid. Now, for any noch ein Zach, before we mention the inning of Kabula, Belinevish, Kabula Sonas, Kabula Skabasaini. So, by the Baltige Chiddish, we know Laila Saide, the bits of the Gam to Lebincha. The father tells the son. So someone told me a story. In once there was a guru, maybe you heard of it, it was called the Schmelke Oldenfeld. It was a gewaltige Bukkie Niffler. Ja, der Schulgefilm in Flensdorfer, gewaltige Bukkie Niffler. don't think it's Kochen. He was about to solve the young. And the Shmelke was asked this question. It was about Shiva. Came about Shiva. His father wasn't about Shiva yet. And through the son, the father wasn't clear about Shiva. But the son knew much more than the father. Came along Laila's side there. You have the son and you have the father. So normally they got to the Benchel. But here it was the kid. The child knew the Chimish, the Esamakis. The father had no idea of anything. So there's all the cards that we got to the Benchel. Said the Shmeke told himself, the son to teach his father to teach his son. The mitzvah is the God to the Benchel. Besides, not the father, it's the Koyach HaShpur that comes from the father, because the father is a naf of the Shurish, which is higher than this child. And it comes to our Shpur, it's not getting of Havula, of Angula, es gibt gewünschen, dort wäre es da gewiss, da war Tag in der auch, blieb Angula von das, gibt noch der Omes. So the father, the last darf hier deiner Seite. Der alte Rebbe schreibt in Tanje, bei dem Sein, begon Böme, begon Joi, Chaim, Udam, Blick, das verliert sich mit zwei. Also Leias, hier soll man sagen, Joi, ja. The fact is that the Rebbe is a Chiddush. As the Laila Seide lives out for the whole year. Like Laila Seide, the father has a cook in the street of the son. We find very full of the Chaim HaKadosh, the Chiddush. They say that a person has a soil, he should be the side, the tzir of his own father. Like we find the Ras, this picture of it. Every person on Koyach, as own father's tzir, can be the Chazak person. The fact that the Laila Seide is the Koyach of the Shpur that comes. Bliegwin, the Teure allein, in das Kind von jeder von seiner eigenen Tate. Steigt, Deisha, Eisel, Masriya, Seira. Das heißt, der Kinder, Deisha, das Teil ist Jik neun, Shell, Omen, Masriya, Seira, Lamino. Das halt die Kinder und warten an denselben Linie. Als der Koyach der Vater, die feinen in Nacht, Gidoi, was a Schäufe, his father was over the Suche. And Gidoi said to the Malach, last night was the Seide, and I heard my father saying in Hallam, and he said the size is 102. Thanks to the cash, Gideon was a shriek. The father was under the Zura. I hope them tapping. And there it is the Koyach HaShpur goes through the almost bis to the kinder, bis to the kinder. Und da steht es helfen, an die Koyach, ist der Frei, ist nehmen jetzt Weiße, jetzt ist Chag, wir bin ziehen im Chag. Aber macht jemand Teure, die Gäste ziehen ist doch Teure ist mit Kasche, Keische Elio in der Reise, die Gäste Keische ist Teure, Christen mit Teure, so der ziehen in der Heiße, solche Sachen, der Spur ist von der Messaini, der Spur von der Abesaini, in der Sia und die Gilles sagt, in Mai, das Zeit, in der ersten Zeit, mit Flucht und Heil und Heil. Amen. Ja. Sorry, I didn't let you down.